up, my people, my Facebook fans, my YouTube fans, the previous students of the Tampa School of Real Estate? It's 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where we mastermind to help grow and develop and take your real estate business to the next level. And that could even be if you're just starting out and you're just trying to get it to that first level. Whenever it is that we're moving this up, a lot of these higher level applications can be implemented on just getting started in the real estate business. And today we're talking about that something not just important to new agents, because this does apply specifically to new agents. We see a lot of this going on, but also seasoned and experienced veterans where they're turning down business or they're turning down opportunities. And at face value, these opportunities might not seem like they're going to be very bountiful, very rewarding, but that's where you have to look beyond and look at the opportunity cost of not taking on these opportunities and look what really it is that you're missing out down the road. Not just the transaction that you're missing, but what that ripple effects of the transaction you might be missing as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to hear from you guys. This is a live stream, and even if you're watching the recording on this, put your questions and comments in the comments, in the chat section. We've got that pulled up for Facebook and YouTube here. We'll be live chatting with you guys as the show goes on. So stick with us. We've got a great show for you today. I'm John Grismo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Crismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. And every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to mastermind, to grow and develop your real estate business, whether that's where you're just starting out or you're trying to take your business to the next level and take it to the top. That's what we're here to do every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, it's a free show, so make sure you do that. Subscribe on YouTube. We've got close to 100,000 views on YouTube, so there's some good content. There's some good videos in there you should definitely check out. You can like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Tampa School, or also check out our Success Center, which is my recommended place for you guys to go for all this stuff because it makes it all nice and clean and easy to get to right in there. That's tampaschool.com/success. And of course, if you're interested in starting or enhancing your real estate career, give our advisors a call or check out our website. You'll see all that information in the bar down below. But let's talk about today's topic of discussion. And remember, this is a live stream, and what really kind of helps shape and grow this show and ultimately make it so much better and so much more applicable to you guys that are watching right now is by giving me feedback. Communication isn't just a one-way, it's a two-way type of thing. So if there's something you don't understand, something you have a question about, or something even if you want to challenge one of the things it is that I'm saying, I welcome that. So put that into the comments section. Love to give you a shout out here on the show. But again, what we're talking about today is seizing every opportunity. Meaning, let's say that, and there's all kinds of excuses. I've met a lot of real estate professionals over my career and even before my career in real estate, and there's a lot of great agents out there. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that are naysayers, for lack of a better term, or looking for problems in every opportunity. And when you think about it, every opportunity or every anything, there's nothing that's ever perfect. Nothing is perfect. There's always going to be something when you look close enough and you look hard enough, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be an issue. There's going to be an obstacle. Even if you don't see it when you're first looking at it, you're eventually going to encounter those obstacles. And the people that are almost more pessimistic or negative about these things, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Well, yes, it can be. We'll talk about that. But what they're good at is actually seeing what could happen. And they're good at seeing what could happen. Now, the difference between somebody who's an optimistic person that does have foresight and a pessimistic person that you can't really be pessimistic without some foresight of seeing what could happen down the road is looking at that and how it is that you react to these negative situations, these problems, these issues. So just to kind of pick out some real estate specific ones here, let's say two different sides here. You're working with a seller about taking listings or potentially working with a buyer taking on buyers to be their buyer's agent. If you're working with a seller or a seller wants to work with you, first of all, especially when you're a new agent, you've got somebody that wants to work with you. That's easy money. I mean, that's the hard part you start to encounter as you become more successful in real estate, is getting more and more people to want to work with you. When you've got people that want to work with you, it's easy then. It doesn't have to be difficult. When you've got somebody that wants to give you business, that wants to hand you business, that wants to hand you a listing, they might just like you, they might know that they could trust you, that you just might be the first person that contacted them, and they're like, yeah, you're great, let's do this. But then you almost try to overcomplicate this. And I see this a lot with students taking the real estate exams as well. There are some very difficult questions on your exams, but there's also really simple questions that are just like that. You've got the answer, but a lot of times the students are inclined to overcomplicate it. So don't overcomplicate the easy questions on your exam, and don't overcomplicate the easy clients in your business. So when you've got an easy client, somebody that wants to work with you, but maybe they want to work with you, and that part is easy. You don't have to sell them on working with you, but it's not perfect. And again, there's never anything that's perfect, so don't be looking for perfect. You'll never get any deals if you're looking for the perfect transaction. And when you do finally get one, you throw it away when there's an obstacle. You're like, oh, no, not perfect. And so that's not a good business practice. It's bad for you because it's really not sustainable, and it's bad for your clients because they're like, well, why doesn't he want to work with me? Why does she want to work with me? Why am I not good enough? So some of these common excuses that you see are, okay, this property, it's too far. It's out of my farm area. Why do I want to waste time out of my farm area? Or that's just such a low price home. That home, it's priced at $150,000, and the last couple of homes I did were $300,000. I really don't want to stoop down to a $150,000 home. Or maybe the price is too high, and it's the opposite. You're like, oh man, I'd love to take on that $1 million listing, but it's a $1 million listing, so I gotta have a professional photographer, and that's gonna cost me money, and I've got to have this problem, and these people, they're probably really stuck up and snooty. I haven't even met them yet. I just know that they called me and said they want to use me, but I'm weary about it. So you have enough of these excuses, and you're never going to get any business. Every property, every seller that comes to you, or every buyer that comes to you is going to say, you're going to come up with something. So don't try to find the perfect deal, the perfect client. You're never going to find them. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be obstacles. Sometimes the issues and the obstacles, though, are going to be more apparent. They're going to be more visible. You're going to notice these issues and things right off the bat rather than noticing them along the line. And it's usually the hidden ones that are going to be more devastating, because at least when you're going into it knowing, okay, that this home is far away, you can be proactive about it. You can maybe try to plan your trips that you have or anything to go buy the property at a particular point in time. You maybe team up with somebody that is, maybe it's somebody from your same office, or somebody that you're going to work with, and somehow make even a joint venture and split the commission if it's really that much of a problem for you. And you might say, well, if I'm going to give up half the commission, what's the point? Well, half the commission is the point. I mean, you're out talking about a $10,000 commission check, let's say. I mean, $5,000 for doing half the work compared to $10,000 for doing 100% of the work. It's the same rate of pay, really. So, I mean, what's the difference there? So you have to be creative in how it is that you think about coming up solutions to these problems, because every business is founded on one core principle, and that one core principle is solving its customers' problems. Every business that exists out there is solving somebody's problems. And the businesses that have gone out of business, whatever business that may be, there was somebody else that was solving that problem better. That problem was no longer a problem, or a lot of other different reasons. But the key thing that you could boil down with any business is they're solving a problem. And people are willing to pay money in exchange that value that they keep in their pocket or in their bank account or on their credit cards. They're willing to exchange that value for a solution to their problem. In real estate, the problem that consumers have that they need a real estate professional for is not being able to sell their house on their own. Whether it's because they don't know the process of selling the house, maybe they don't know how to market their house, maybe they talked to some other real estate professionals out there, and these real estate professionals are giving them some sort of denial, some sort of rejection because of some issue, but maybe you have a better solution, a more elegant solution to that. I mean, that's why a lot of these wholesaler and flipper organizations work, where, if you're working with a real estate professional, yeah, you're going to pay a 6, 7, maybe 5% commission on whatever the sale price of that home is. And yeah, if you have the home priced up at a certain amount over above, that'll allow you to kind of recoup that cost. But if you've got a buyer that's looking to sell their home quick, now all of a sudden the real estate professionals, they don't have the solution unless they're discounting it. But then on top of that, they're still charging a fee. Maybe they're discounting the fee, whatever that may be, but that might not be the best solution for them. And that's exactly why these wholesalers and these flippers are able to pick up these properties for so cheap. It's because they could close like that. They could get the property snatched up just like that, take care of all the hard part there, get in and out. Yes, the buyer isn't going to get the most amount of money with something like that compared to selling it retail, but maybe there's issues where they can't sell it retail. Maybe there's problems with the house. Maybe there's issue where a normal retail buyer wouldn't want to buy that house, or maybe they legitimately need to sell it that quickly. These could all be reasons. Again, it comes down to getting to know your client and really understanding what that problem is, and then finding out whether or not it is that you could solve that problem. And the better and more elegant solution it is that you have for your client, the more value it is that they're going to see out of you. So when we have, let's say, a seller that, and this is a major problem, and not necessarily a problem, it's a major obstacle with a lot of sellers out there. So, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that are tuning in, if you've been on listing appointments before, you've talked to people thinking about selling their home, they're probably 90% of the time, that's not an official statistic. I like to give official statistics, but that's not one of them. Probably 90% of the time, though, the sellers are going to want to sell their property for more than market value. And whether that's just because they might be greedy and they might be trying to get as much money as they can out of this, and maybe it's not that they're greedy, maybe it's just because they have their sights on upgrading their house. Maybe they want to go from a $250,000 house to a $500,000 house. They're doubling this, and they're counting on a lot of their equity in the property to use as the down payment for that new house. So it could be a situation like that where the numbers just don't work with that. But how you're able to come up with a solution to the problem, because the easy way, the cheater way out basically of doing this is basically just taking that overpriced listing. Taking the overpriced listing, okay, market value, let's say, is $250,000. They want to sell it for $300,000. And because they've explained to you, okay, well, $300,000, this is what I need to get it to this point, and so on and so forth. If you just say, okay, yeah, $300,000, I think we can figure that out. Yeah, we'll find a buyer that wants to buy it. Let's go for it. I think $300,000 is a good number. Maybe you're nervous. Maybe you don't want to blow the sale. Maybe it's just that you're scared or confused or whatever it may be that you're taking the overpriced listing. Or maybe you're just saying, hey, look, let me just take the overpriced listing. Any listing is better than no listing, but now how do you approach this in a way, because you're not going to be able to sell it at that $300,000 price, whether it's now or you're going to know 180 days from now when your listing expires, or however long that listing may be, you're eventually going to find out that property was overpriced. And the more foresight it is you could have about that being overpriced, the better. But now let's talk about where the difference is between somebody who's able to come up with a solution that is a win-win for all parties involved, maybe a win-win-win or a win-win-win-win-win, however many wins we're going to chalk up, the more the merrier here, or looking at this and saying, oh, that's overpriced, you can't sell it for that much. When you're ready to sell it for the lower price, you give me a call. That's the easy way out. And yeah, you're not wasting your time if you're just saying, oh, you just let me know that when you're ready to sell it for $250,000 because I'll be here for you. Well, if we're going to sell it for $250,000, why would I want to use you? What makes you any better than all the other agents if that's the market value and that's what it'll sell for? So again, you have to be creative with this here. And you have to get to understand your client and understand that particular seller. So let's say that seller is, okay, I'm thinking I want to sell the house for $300,000. I looked at some things and I think that's a good number for that. Oh, okay, yeah, tell me what it is that you've looked at for that. Love to hear your side of this. I'd love to see you find out what research you've done, make sure I didn't miss anything. Something like that. And especially if you use that line to make sure I didn't miss anything, what was it that you had found that led you to this here? They might just say something as simple as, oh, I checked on Zillow and the Zestimate said $300,000. And Zillow, they're a big company, so they can't be wrong, right? Now you have you have something very descriptive and very particular that you could latch onto, and then you could say, okay, yeah, you know, Zillow, they are a huge company, but you know how Zillow comes up with those estimates? Of course, they're going to say no, or maybe they have some sort of idea, and basically, anytime they're having this, you want to always acknowledge what it is that they're saying. So they say, oh yeah, no, I actually don't know how they come up with that there. Do you know? And it's like, well, matter of fact, I do know how they come up with that. I actually have a very similar system in my toolbox of realtor tools that's actually a little bit more accurate than Zillow, but I don't even always rely on that one 100% because these are automated valuation methods. And now computers are great, but you know, computers, they're only as great as the programming that's set out for them. The reason why computers and technologies have advanced to so much they have today is because of the people that are programming these computers and creating the software and the algorithms that make those computers do what they can do today. And that's exactly how the Zillow's estimate is created. It has a whole set of algorithms that it's better than nothing, but it is still just a computer's estimation. And that computer hasn't been inside your home. That computer hasn't seen the other homes on the inside. All it's relying on is public record information, which tends to be a lot of times outdated or not accurate. So that's the reason why the Zillow's estimates aren't always something to trust and rely on. It's a good thing to kind of look at here and understand, but sometimes they're higher and sometimes they're lower than the true market value of the property. And when you're able to explain, like I did just right there, and basically kind of tell them that, oh yeah, you looked at Zillow? Well, let me tell you about Zillow. I know all about Zillow. But you don't want to have that tone. Notice that tone that I just had. Again, it's not as important of what you're saying, but how you're saying it. Because if you have the tone that you're a know-it-all and you know Zillow doesn't know anything, but when you come at this of, hey, look, I do know about Zillow, and they've got a great piece of software for figuring out, a great algorithm for figuring out what values are, but it still is flawed. It's not perfect, and it's not as good as an appraiser or a real estate professional can come up with for the value of your property. So when you approach that again as a method of okay, yeah, you know that's you know, most people, they look at Zillow, that's the first thing they're going to look at when they're thinking about selling their home, so you're not alone there. But do you know how that value is calculated? So what you're doing there is you're creating interest in what it is you have to say. Just like you want people to want to work with you, you want people to want to hear what it is that you have to say. And now, just a quick tip for that, how do you get more people to want to know what it is that you want to say? Well, you let them talk. You let them know their story. And so when you reciprocate, when you communicate back with them, and especially if they're doing most of the talking, they're eager to hear what it is that your solution is to their problems. But you got to be a really careful listener and really kind of pick out. And sometimes you're kind of just casting a line out there because you don't know whether or not this is really the issue. Because a lot of times they might just say, oh, you know, I just think that's a good value for it. I've looked at some of the homes available. Did they look at the homes for sale, or did they just look at Zillow? Is that where they're coming up on that number? Maybe they're lying about it, or maybe they just forgot that they looked at Zillow and they forgot that's where they got that number from. So again, you've got to be the counselor, the psychologist, the person extracting and pulling out this information, the secret agent that's kind of in there, almost in their head. I'm not talking about being manipulative here. I'm talking about having them come clean, basically, having them become clear with what it is that they want and how your services and your products can complement that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, this is a live stream, so if you guys have any questions on any of this, comments, or you want to challenge any of the things it is that I'm saying, put that in the comments below. Would love to hear from you guys. Love to give you a shout out on the show. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes, so send your comments in while we're on the commercial break here. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrismo with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
I have done for my love.
If you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. 12 noon every Friday, we come to you live to help grow and mastermind your real estate business, take it to that next level, or just help get your business on your feet and get your business jump started. We do this because we want to see everyone it is that we interact with be successful in the real estate industry. Your success helps us be successful as well. So before we went on break, we focused a lot on talking about and the whole topic of today's discussion is seizing every opportunity that presents to you. Even when it's something where it might not seem like a great opportunity right off the bat. Again, there's no perfect opportunities out there. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be obstacles. Some of those problems and some of those obstacles are just going to seem more apparent at first glance than others. So again, we're talking about the seller that is, let's say that the seller, and this is a very real problem that a lot of real estate professionals run into, that the seller wants to sell a property for higher than the market value. And we kind of talked about one way we could kind of pick apart what their thoughts are on this market value, because obviously you're the real estate professional, they're the consumer that, and again, you never want to take that standpoint of you're better than them, but ultimately you're the one that this is your job of doing this. But that's no way to win an argument with this here. What you want to do essentially is try to convince them onto your way of thinking. And in order to do that effectively, again, you have to find out what those points are that they think that the home is worth $300,000, let's say. And again, let's say they say the Zillow's estimate, and you're like, oh, that's a great system. Always acknowledge whatever it is that they're saying. Whenever you have an opposing argument, an objection, whatever that may be, you always want to acknowledge, I completely understand that Zillow, it's a big company, that they're the number one real estate website in the world, but now do you know how they come up with that value? And they're not going to know how they come up with the value. Maybe they'll have an idea for how they come up with the value. And you might even want to ask a better question here of something more particular, because they might say, oh yeah, I have an idea of how they come up with the value. So you want to, again, try to, like I said, build it so they want to listen to what it is that you have to say. And then you could have that whole story of, oh, well, they've got a great system. Again, you don't want to, so in convincing somebody to your line of thinking, you don't want to just go out there and immediately just be against them, because they're immediately going to pull back and go the other direction. So, and what that happens is you're chasing after them. But if you could kind of get them to meet in the middle, oh yeah, that's a great, I'm glad that you took a look at Zillow. You've done a lot more than a lot of the people it is that I've met with here. But now, do you know how they come up with that value? And no, it's a great system, and then that whole spiel. And if you missed any of that stuff, again, we've got the recordings of these episodes on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success. So make sure you go back and check that out, because I've really hit the nail on the head, I think, with kind of running through that whole breaking down any automated valuation method. It doesn't have to be Zillow. It could be Realtor.com. It could be Trulia.com. It could be Homes.com, For Sale by Owner. Any of these places, they could go and punch in their address and come up with a value for it. So definitely check that out if you didn't catch that already. But now, again, seizing every opportunity. So let's talk about what opportunities lie ahead by you taking on this listing. Because ultimately, let's say you're able to get them down a little bit. Let's say they wanted the $300,000 and you're able to get them down to $275,000. It's still higher than the $250,000 that you thought was the market value after your market analysis and your market study. You came up with $250,000 and you got them down, but not down to where it is that you need to be. So by taking on this listing, and with this listing, and especially when you're able to go in this with the knowledge that, okay, this property is still overpriced, and especially when your seller's able to go into this knowing that this is higher than what you should sell the property for, or higher than what your market analysis says for that. So worst case scenario going into it, they're ready for the price reduction. When you say, okay, well, let's do this, we could do this price, but if after 1 week we haven't gotten this many showings or we haven't gotten this many offers or whatever it may be. And you have to tailor this based on your market, because if you have a very hot market, you should be very direct about it. Hey, look, if we haven't had an offer in the first week, we should probably lower that price down, because $275,000 is, like I said, from my professional experience, I've been observing real estate and studying real estate for a very long time, and I can tell you this is going to be higher than what I think we're going to be able to get. We can still try it, but again, it's going to look, and then you want to explain these price reductions. So when you're going into this, it's not like you're holding anything back, because where they'll look at you as a bad agent, where they'll look at you and say, oh, you don't know what you're doing, or you're bad at this, I want to hire somebody else, is for a couple different reasons. Number one, you don't get the house sold. So if you don't get the house sold, that's automatically going to be bad for you. But now the things leading up to not selling the house, for let's say you talk about, okay, let's say you didn't talk about the price reduction when you initially listed the property, and it goes on for a week, and you're like, oh, well, let's reduce the price. What do you think about that? And they're like, no, I don't want to reduce the price. We just listed the property a week ago. Let's give it some time. But now when you're upfront about things like price reductions, or you're upfront about all the intricacies that could come into play down the road, there's a term for this we have in the pre-licensing course, and not just for that, it's a legal term, and it's called express, an express contract. An express contract is where all the details of the contract are decided in advance and understood in advance, and it's fully negotiated out. There's no ticking time bombs when you gotta hope you sell the property before you have to do a price reduction, because if you have to do a price reduction, you didn't tell them about it, you could tell that they're not gonna like it, that's ultimately gonna be bad. But when you get this out of the way ahead of time, okay, we could go into this. I do strongly recommend we don't do it at the $275,000, but if you want to try that, I'm willing to do that, but we've got to be able to do a price reduction after 1 week if we haven't had any offers on the property. And if you get them to agree to that, or maybe they don't agree to that, and say, okay, let's do 2 weeks. If we haven't got any offers in 2 weeks, then we need to do a price reduction. And so you want to explain to them what these price reductions are, but then you also want to explain to them what a price reduction means, because this might make them change their tune already and say, okay, well, let's just do the $250,000 if you think that's going to be better. Maybe we could get a bidding war or something like that. But when you're explaining the price reduction, and what you want to do, again, anytime you want to align somebody with your school of thought and with your perspective on this, because you know when a buyer or a buyer's agent sees a price reduction, they're going to be thinking two different things. Number one, what's wrong with this house? Why did they have to give a price reduction? Because it's one of two things. It's either the house doesn't have the value that you're trying to sell it for, or the price is too high. And they're really two sides of the same coin here. So they're going to look at this price reduction and say, okay, well, what's wrong with this house? Do we really want to buy this house that's had a price reduction that obviously no one else wants? Or, let's go look at these other houses here. So the price reductions look really bad. Now, they're a very effective and useful tool for eventually getting that property sold, but ultimately you're going to have better negotiating power. You're going to have more leverage without doing price reductions by setting it at the right price to begin with. Because that's the one thing, okay, the price, what's wrong with this property? Number two, okay, well, let's see, they already dropped the price down a little bit here. How much lower are they willing to go? How overpriced is this property still? So let's say we had this property, the same scenario I've been using here. Market value is $250,000. They wanted to sell it for $300,000. You get them down to $275,000. You enter into this because they won't budge any lower than $275,000. You get them under contract, and you say, okay, if we don't get any offers in the first week, we're going to do a price reduction down to $260,000. And so you listed at $275,000. Lo and behold, no offers. So you reduce it down to $260,000 for that price reduction. Now maybe when it gets under contract, or when you do start getting offers on it, people see those price reductions, and again, they're thinking, number one, there's something wrong with the property, and number two, they're willing to take a lower price. They're willing to negotiate. They're willing to make offers on the property. They're obviously having trouble selling it. These are all things that destroy the negotiating power of your seller. And even in a transaction broker relationship, where even you have limited representation of your seller, you're still in an arm's length transaction, and you're still trying to help that seller get the property sold at terms that are favorable to them, because maybe it's not possible for them to sell if that property gets below $250,000. But because maybe we did that price reduction, now all of a sudden we're getting offers for $235,000 and $240,000 because they're like, oh, they're willing to negotiate, they're desperate to sell, the property is overpriced, and we're implying all these things because of that price decrease. So that price decrease, that price reduction, that sends a strong message to your potential buyers and whatnot. So again, by going into this ahead of time, by saying, okay, let's take a look at this here. Let's play out these different scenarios here. And you go through this all through their head. And if they're okay with that, if they're okay with ultimately selling the property for $240,000, well, why don't we start it at $250,000, which is the market value of this property here. And we're going to market the crap out of it. We're going to do everything we can to get as much eyes on this property as possible. And then hopefully we can get a couple offers on the property. Who knows? Maybe we'll even sell it for $260,000, or maybe we might be able to get it up a little bit higher than that $250,000. But if you'd be okay with that $240,000, why don't we just go to this right now, do the $250,000. We're not accepting a price at $250,000. That's just the asking price. They could make an offer, and then we could still reject that offer, even if it's a full price offer. You're under no obligation to accept a full price offer. So, and a lot of this puts it in perspective for them, and this helps align them with your perspective on all of this here, because again, they have the perspective of the consumer, which there's a lot of myths, there's a lot of misconceptions, and they don't know this stuff in this detail and this level. They don't work with people helping them get their house sold, so how would they know what that process looks like, or how would they know what buyers are thinking? You've probably worked with buyers before, so you could tell them, hey, you know, I've worked with buyers before, and the first thing I tell them whenever we see a price reduction, and every other agent out there is going to do the same thing, that, hey, they're willing to negotiate, they're getting desperate to sell, that's why they're doing a price reduction. It doesn't mean that we're going to get, we're going to be able to steal the property from them, but we're going to be able to probably get it for less than what it is that they're trying to sell it for. So that's, again, that's shifting the leverage. But if you price it right from the beginning, you could, if the market value is $250,000 and you've got it listed at $250,000, you could let that hang out there for at least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 weeks, maybe even a month without having to do a price reduction. If it still isn't sold within that month, then your market value is wrong. So you got to be careful with that too. But again, kind of conveying all this information in advance is going to help you lay this all out for your sellers, so that way they know what to expect. And now all of a sudden, this difficult opportunity, because you might find out in advance before even meeting with the seller, maybe just over the phone or through emails or through text messages, you find out that they want to sell their house for $300,000. And I know there's agents out there, they'll say, oh, the $300,000, that's overpriced. That's more than what this home will sell for. Whatever. They'll let them call me. If they really want to sell it, I'll just tell them, you know, that's too high. Call me when you want to sell it for lower. And they're just willing to leave that business off the table. Now, that 30 seconds I just took to explain that scenario is obviously a lot less work than going through this whole process of explaining to the seller of how this could play out and ultimately trying to get them down to the appropriate price on the property here. So yes, that is the easy way out. It's not going to take really any work to basically decline a listing, but now how much money are you going to make on that declined listing? None. You're not going to make anything on that transaction unless they are willing to drop the price down, and they do decide to give you that call, but they're probably going to be calling somebody else that's already came to them and willing to put in the work and willing to put in the time and effort. Again, every business is built on that foundation of solving people's problems, and whenever you're able to have a better solution than the competition, that's where your solution becomes more valuable. You could charge a higher price for your solution. That's how agents are able to charge higher commission rates, as they offer better value, and they do that by offering a better solution. And ultimately, they're able to take on more clients easier, because they don't have to sell them as much, because they already see that they're a better fit, that they care about them and care about their needs. And now, what else are you turning away? So let's say you already turned down this listing. So what else? You got to think of, and this is called opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is what you're giving up when, in addition. So the initial cost is, okay, we're not getting that $10,000 commission or however much the commission would be on this. Okay, you know, I've got better things to do with my time, you know, not $10,000. But now, how much additional business are we missing out on by not taking that listing? And we're going to dive into that after the commercial break. Again, put your comments, questions in the chat. We're watching that live here on the show. Let me know whatever it is that you guys think or questions you have about any of this stuff. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back in less than 2 minutes. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrismo with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
I have done for my love.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. If you're thinking about starting or enhancing your real estate career, make sure you check out the links below, tampaschool.com, and the phone number is 813-928-0106. I know I said that fast, but it is right down here as well, so write down that number if you need to. But what we do every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time is help you grow and develop and mastermind about your real estate business to take it to that next level, to push it up, or just to get it jump started, to get it kick started and out and going. This is something that a lot of new agents, so we're talking today about seizing the opportunity. And a lot of new agents get the understanding of, hey, you know, I'm brand new with this and I won't have the pick of the litter necessarily, and I want to take as much business as it is I could grab. And as you become more successful and you start to get a more steady pipeline, you could start saying, okay, you know, I can't do that. I have to focus on this. I've got these clients and this is a better client than that potential client. But when you're getting at that point, when you're able to turn down business, when it makes sense for you as a solopreneur, as a independent contractor, just you working as a real estate professional, no assistants, no anything like that, it's just you on your own. When you get to the point where, again, you're able to turn away business, that's where it's time to grow and scale. And you might be okay with just doing your $100,000 a year in commission or whatever it is that you're able to do on your own. But when you want to push past that and you want to grow yourself, that's where you're going to, again, need to expand out to come up with better solutions for this. And yes, it's going to be more difficult. Yes, it's going to be more problems. Again, you want to try to seize these opportunities, though, because there's a lot of potential behind this. So we're talking about that seller, the seller that we've been talking about for the whole first half of the episode, the one that wants to sell their house for $300,000, even though the market value is $250,000 on the property, and they're wanting to, no matter what you tell them, it's hard to get them down on price, and you're able to get them down to $275,000, or maybe you just took the easy way out and you're just like, you know what? That's overpriced. I don't take overpriced listings. I'm too good for that. I've got other business to do, and you kind of snub your nose at them. Contact me when you're ready to sell it for the appropriate market value. You do something like that, they're not going to contact you. They're not going to want to call you back because they're like, man, this person is a total not nice person. So they're not going to want to work with you when you say, no, your house isn't worth that much. You're insulting their home. Now, an investor might not take this as personally, but when you're telling that to a homeowner, no, your house isn't worth that much, and you're very just kind of abrupt and abrasive about it, you're insulting them, and you're never going to be able to get business from them in the future. They might even go on so far as to write bad reviews about you or put negative things out there, or maybe they're not putting these reviews online, but when their friend maybe asks them, hey, aren't you thinking about selling your house? Have you interviewed anyone yet? No, well, I talked to this one guy here, and he said my house is overpriced and it's not worth as much, so don't call him. He's a total waste of time, and so on. And so you don't want that. And ultimately, again, you want to think about the opportunity cost, what ultimately it is that you're missing out on and that you're losing by not taking on that listing. And yes, it is bad to take on an overpriced listing, because if that property ends up not selling, that does make you look bad. But again, when the cure and remedy to this is being upfront about this information, saying, okay, we got to be able to do this. If we don't sell at this point, then we're going to have to do a price reduction. We're going to have to do another price reduction until we get it sold. And you kind of explain to them. And the key thing here is like, oh, well, can't you do more? Can't you do more open houses and things like that? You've got to go into this saying, I've got the best marketing strategy that's out there. I'm going to do this, and that to get as much exposure to your property as possible. But I'm not a magician. I'm not magical. I don't have superpowers. I can't get an overpriced home to sell for an overpriced price. And maybe you don't want to use that word overpriced, because that could be a little bit offensive as well. It depends on, again, that relationship it is that you're developed. Don't lead off with that statement there. You can maybe use that a little bit later in the conversation, but don't lead off with that, because they'll turn you off and they won't listen to you. Again, you want to try to be on their side and just kind of move them over to your perspective. You don't want to be adversarial with them. This isn't a debate match. This isn't some sort of argument match. This isn't some game show of whoever can make the most points and make the other person feel the most worthless. That's going to get you zero business. But now, what is it that you're losing out on in addition to that one particular sale if you just decline on it or you're not willing to put this work in to get it ultimately sold? So in addition to that transaction itself, you're missing out on, first and foremost, potential buyers that are interested in buying that listing. And so this goes back to, if you think of any sort of business, every sort of business sells something. Any business out there, they sell something. Whether it's a product or a service, they're selling something. And now products, this seems pretty obvious. If the products are out of stock, they're going to have a hard time selling things that they don't have. Yeah, there's pre-orders and everything like that, but there's no instant gratification or anything like that. And people won't even come to you because they're like, oh, they don't have any of these products, but I even want to waste time going for it there. There's a big thing about, so we're just kind of coming back and recovering here in Florida from Hurricane Irma. And, a lot of people that I've talked to saying, oh, that there's no gas anywhere. Pretty much every gas station you go to right now has gas. Now, that's not all parts of Florida, but at least in the Tampa Bay area, they all have gas. But these rumors start going around, and people don't even want to go to the gas stations because they think the gas station is not going to have gas. So when you, as a real estate professional, don't have that product in stock, or there's a rumor, there's any doubt that you have products in stock, people aren't going to contact you, because that's the number one way to get buyers' leads. Way better than paying for these leads on services is to have your own listing, market that listing, and get the buyers that are interested in buying that property. Yes, they're probably not going to buy that property. So they're probably not going to buy the one it is that you've got listed, that you got advertised, but that's your way of getting your foot in the door. That's your way of starting this relationship with these clients. And by getting your foot in the door, now you can open them up to all these other properties it is that you have access to in the MLS, whether it's your listing or not. But they won't even approach you. They won't even come to you if they have any idea that you don't have products. So what is your job? To show that, hey, I've got all these listings, I've got these products, contact me. That's why you see all these ads that go out there from big real estate teams to just single real estate agents that are out there advertising in magazines and newspapers and Craigslist ads and so on all these different platforms that they're advertising that, hey, I've got this property listed, and this property is listed. They want to show you that they have products, that they have inventory to sell, because that person will now contact them, and then they'll get a better idea of how the real estate professional works and how they're representing the buyer to find any of the homes, not just the ones that they have for sale. So, and it goes, there's so much in sales where it's completely different with real estate. With real estate, somebody comes to me, I can show them any of the homes I have access to in the MLS. But let's say you want to buy a car, you go to a Ford dealership, and now unless you're looking at some pre-owned stuff or something like that, if you want to buy a new Ford, they're not going to show you Chevys. You got to go to the Chevy dealership to look at the Chevys. And then maybe you're thinking about buying a BMW instead. And then you got to go to the BMW dealership. And you have to go around to all these different sellers. Whereas with the real estate space, that's not the case. And again, that's the big misconception with a lot of clients. So you got to have inventory. There's a saying, you got to list to last. You have to list to last, meaning you have to have listings if you want to last in the real estate business, because what that does is it makes your job easier. It helps you create a pipeline of buyers lining up to work with you. Now you have to have the rest of this stuff dialed in and figured out for how it is that you turn that buyer into an actual client, or that potential buyer, that interested person, into a client. Because if you shut it off too quickly and you just say, oh no, you're looking for a 4-bedroom house, sorry, this house you called about, it's only 3 bedrooms, bye. You do something like that, and really don't even have to go hanging up on them and slamming the phone down just to say, oh yeah, that property has 3 bedrooms there, so that's not going to work out for you. And then all of a sudden they start automatically thinking, oh, well, okay, all right, well, thanks for your time. And you're like, oh, wait, but I have other homes I could show you. Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's all right. I don't want to waste your time here. We're really looking for a 3-bedroom home, not the 4-bedroom. Well, no, I have other homes. And again, these first reactions, these first responses, when people are listening the closest is when you first say something. When people are listening the closest is the first words that come out of your mouth. So if they say, and what's happening before they make this phone call, they're probably nervous. They're maybe thinking about, oh, should I call this person? Should I call this salesperson? Should I make this phone call on this? Are you sure you like this house? Should I make the call? And all this is going through their head. And so they're looking for that easy way out. They're not wanting to seize every opportunity. And that's just a general commonality among all humans, because we want to avoid danger, we want to avoid rejection, we want to avoid things that won't work for us, or the things that might involve work. And if we've got to find another house now, we spent all this time finding this house only to find out it doesn't have the right amount of bedrooms or whatever it may be. So going back to this seller, by turning down this listing, you're basically, like I said, again, turning away not just the deal itself, the listing itself, you're also turning away all the potential buyers you'd get calling off of that listing, calling off of your sign. And the more marketing it is that you do over and above just putting in the MLS, because every agent's going to put it in the MLS system, but any marketing it is that you do over and above that is what's going to get buyers lining up to work with you. Because if you're putting in the MLS system, everyone with access to the MLS is either a realtor or somebody working with a realtor. So you can't count on the MLS to get you a bunch of buyer leads. Yes, it'll syndicate it out also to Zillow and Trulia and whatnot, but you've got people that are paying hundreds of dollars a month to put their name on your listing, to be able to advertise and whatnot. So you can't rely on that either to be able to generate buyer leads. But your sign, that's your sign, your phone number on that. Any ads it is that you do, maybe you're advertising on Facebook, on Google AdWords, you have a website set up, you're putting an ad in the paper, any of these things it is that you do over and above, that's going to be what gets you buyers. Yes, this is work. If this were easy, everyone that gets the real estate license would instantly become a millionaire. And as much possibility as it can be that you can become a millionaire in real estate, it doesn't happen to everyone, because you have to, again, look at this and come up with creative solutions. The more creative a solution it is you're able to come up with here and better solve and apply that solution, it doesn't even have to be that creative. It's just you're taking this solution and you're applying it in this scenario here, and you're finding solutions for everyone. Solutions for that seller that wants to sell their overpriced home, the buyer that is thinking about buying this home or maybe buying a home, maybe not particularly that one. And then there's a third opportunity it is that you're turning down when you're turning down a seller's listing. So not only are you turning down the listing deal itself, you're also turning down any potential buyers that could be interested in buying the property. But there's a third thing, and we're going to cover that right after this quick commercial break. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching States of Real Estate.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrismo with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
I have done for my love.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrisman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. And what we do every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time is come to you live to help you grow and develop and mastermind to take your real estate business to the next level, or just get it jump started and kick started and get you off on your feet and rolling out there as soon as you've got your real estate license. You might not like everything it is that I say on these shows here, but it's the things it is that you have to hear as a new real estate professional or even an experienced real estate professional, because we're just talking about things that aren't always the nice things, but they're things that have to be said. And these are the same things that I was talking about when we're talking about working with a seller that maybe wants to sell their home for more than the market value of the home. You have to have those difficult conversations. No, it's not going to be easy to have the difficult conversations. A lot of people see that as a problem. They're not the perfect seller, so I don't want to work with them. They don't want to sell it for this lower price, I don't want to work with them. And then they're looking for almost an excuse to be able to say, oh no, I'm not going to do it. Because they don't want to be the one that ultimately ends up not selling the house, and then all of a sudden they feel bad about themselves, their seller doesn't like them, and so on and so forth. So again, you got to have these difficult conversations up front to really make everything work. So by turning down the seller, because we've been talking about this whole kind of seller this whole kind of time, and the whole topic today is about seizing every opportunity. By not taking that listing, by taking the easy way out of saying, no, you know what, I'm not going to take the listing, number one, you're turning down that deal. So that's maybe $10,000, $20,000, who knows, based on whatever the property is. Number two, you're turning down any potential buyers you'd have interested in buying the property. So maybe you have 4, 5, 6 buyers that you could end up tacking on by having this listing and making sure you answer your phone when they call you, or doing a halfway decent job of marketing the property. So you're turning down the potential buyers. But what else are you turning down? Because there's a third thing you're losing out on by not, like I said, taking on this listing. And that third thing you're losing out on is referral business. Referral business really is a fourth thing that's also repeat business. So the referral business is now when that seller's friends and family, not necessarily the people that are interested in buying the house. We already talked about those people. Those are a different set of people you're losing out on, but also the seller's friends and family. And even if the seller doesn't sell the property for the price it is that they wanted to sell it for, even if they don't get it sold for that $300,000 they initially had it listed for, but they do get it sold, if you were clear and you were upfront to them the whole time and you did your job like you said you were going to do your job, they can't be mad at you. They can't be unhappy with you. They're probably going to be happy with you that you did get the job done and that you were very clear in your communications with them. That's important to not just sellers, but buyers, but anyone it is that you work with. When you're clear with your communication with that person, anyone will appreciate that. If not right there in the moment, after the fact, they will appreciate that. So even with a seller that you didn't get them what they wanted from the beginning, but you did get them the outcome of selling their home that they did want, they're going to tell their friends, their family, oh, you know, this person, there's no one better at marketing. There's no one better. They keep you updated every step of the way. They make sure that you know everything that's going on. You've got to use this person. And the more communications and these more difficult clients are going to become your biggest fans. The more difficult clients that you have, the more that they're going to really appreciate what it is that you've done for them. And then what happens when they get a friend or family member say, oh, who helped sell your house? Who helped buy your house? That's where they're going to remember your name. If you're just an average agent and you give them an average interaction, they're not going to remember who it is that you are. But if you give them an exceptional experience and you go over and above to helping them solve their problems of getting that house sold, they're going to remember who it is that you are. Don't count on that, though, so you still want to follow up with them, do the phone call and text messages every now and again, do the follow-up emails. Look, there's a million ways to not do things, and if you don't do any of these things to follow up with them, of course they're going to forget about you, and yeah, you're not getting the referral business. But whether it's an email newsletter you have for your past clients, whether it's just making a phone call every 6 months or every 3 months or however long it is that you need to do to stay in contact with them and stay updated on them. And so the point here is you're trying to get referrals. You want to, number one, stay memorable with them, so you have the opportunity to referrals so they remember you when they have friends or family ask about them. But now, what you also want to do with these follow-ups here is you want to say, hey, so do you got any friends or family you know of that you could send my way that you could give me a referral for? And you might say, John, how could I ask that? How could I ask them for a referral? Isn't that taboo? Won't they want to not talk to me? Won't they report me to the do not call list for doing this? Well, first of all, you can contact them for 18 months even if they're on the do not call list if you have done previous business with them before. So that's the importance of knowing the laws and rules from your pre-licensing course. But how do we solve this? How do we make this not a problem by bringing it up in the moment? We preemptively talk about this. And I would say as early as your first appointment, when you're explaining to them why it is that you want to take on this property and why you want to take on this listing and why they should choose you, you want to say, hey, look, I want to provide you with the best experience you've had with anybody in the real estate industry, bar none. I want to be the best of the best, and I want you to feel that way as well, because after the sale's over, I'm going to ask you guys what friends and family it is that you have that want to sell a house, that want to buy a house, and I want you to be able to feel comfortable referring them to me. I don't want you just to feel comfortable referring them to me. I want you to be excited to refer them to me. I want to not even have to ask for referrals and you just say, hey, look, you got to help these people out. You say that up front, now they know what's coming. They know what to expect. You've kind of almost programmed them and got them all in their mind ready to, okay, yeah, referrals are coming. They're going to be looking for referrals. They're going to expect referrals. They want referrals. And when you talk about this preemptively, again, as early as the first appointment, and now you're talking about this, okay, I'm going to give you the best experience possible because not only that's not just what I do, but because I want referral business from you as well. I want repeat business from you. I want you to want to use me again when you want to sell your next house and buy your next house. And I also want you to refer me all your friends and family that are thinking about buying or selling a house along the way. My business is built on referrals, but that only works if I provide a great experience to my clients. So see how it's a win-win here. I give you a great experience, you give me referrals. It's really that simple. But if you don't explain that, if you're not clear with that from the get-go and from the beginning, all of a sudden it's like, well, referrals, why do you want my friends and family information? And you'll often get that reaction when you haven't provided them with a great experience. And ultimately what's most important for providing a great experience, it isn't that you did everything correctly, it isn't that everything went like they thought it was going to go. That's part of it, but it comes down to you properly communicating. Because if you properly communicate ahead of time, then they'll know what's expected. They'll know what those next steps are. They'll know what's tending to happen. And when they know what to expect, you'll look like you know what you're doing because you say this is going to happen and then that happens, or you say this or this could happen and then this or that happens, and they're like, wow, this person knows real estate. They're like a fortune teller when it comes to real estate. They could tell what's going to happen before it even happens. They told me on the first appointment that this was going to happen. And you're like, I know because I'm a professional. So again, you have that clear communication, because if you don't establish these things up front of what it is for them to expect out of you, what it is for them to expect out of the sales process, and what these particulars may be, they're not going to be concerned with anything. But again, you want to think ahead. You want to be strategic. Last week we were talking about planning ahead and being strategic, and that's absolutely what you have to do here. You have to figure out, okay, these are the things that could happen here. Which ones of these are going to be the most important and what I have to tell my seller about? Or this could be the same thing when working with a buyer. What are the things here I have to tell my buyer about? And when you're able to get this all figured out and communicate this ahead of time, they're like, wow, this is the greatest real estate agent in the world. They'll write you glowing reviews. They'll give you glowing referrals. They'll be your president of your fan club, so to say. You want every client to want to be the president of your fan club. You want to provide that great of an experience, because what that does ultimately, that spreads word of mouth advertising. And that word of mouth advertising, it costs you zero other than providing a great experience to your clients. So that's absolutely something you should strive for, especially if you're interested in the long-term success of your real estate business. If you're just trying to get in and out of the real estate industry over a couple of years, yeah, you don't have to worry about that as much, because what happens when you provide bad experiences and you have people not wanting to use you, that word starts to go around, and then you won't be able to be in the real estate business after a couple of years. So you want to strive, and it's not always, again, it's not always that everything goes the way it is that they want. It's just you clearly explain to them how this works and what this process looks like, and then on top of that, you're doing everything that you said you're going to do, that you however it is that you fit into this process, you're there 100%. And when they see that you're doing what you said you're doing, and what's happened, what you said could happen is happening, they're like, okay, yeah, this person knows their stuff. They're the epitome of a real estate agent. This is what all real estate agents should strive to be. And so that's all I got for you guys today on this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I hope you got some stuff that's tactical and practical that you can take out into your business this weekend. Again, the key thing is not to turn down any opportunity, to seize every opportunity it is that you can. If you see something and it's some sort of opportunity that presents itself, and you start thinking, oh, well, you know, this listing is too far, this buyer isn't qualified, this seller wants to sell their house for too high, whatever issues it is that you see, that you're seeing in your head, there's always going to be issues. It's just some of them are going to be more apparent than others. So at least try to give it a thought, come up with a game plan, figure out how it is you can make it a win-win, what words it is that you need to say, what communications it is that need to be had, and again, try to seize every opportunity. And if you ever get to the point where you have to turn down opportunities, especially when we're talking about the real estate space here, if you're turning down listings or you're turning down buyers, that's not because you're too busy and you're too good. It means that you need to grow. It's time to expand yourself. You might be happy working as just a solopreneur, as a single real estate agent that's just doing their clients, and that's it. They don't have any goals or ambitions to expand out, but you're going to quickly get burnt out when you hit that point. You're going to realize that you do have a thirst for more, that you do wish you could have a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that, or that you want to have your business grow more, and that's again where you start to grow your team. So again, try to seize every opportunity until you can't seize any more opportunities, and then when you get to that point, again, that's when you're expanding out and bringing in others to help you seize these opportunities. So that's this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. We've got over 100,000 views, so we must have something worth watching on there. You can find all the previous episodes of State of Real Estate, as well as Ask the Instructor on Facebook, as well as on YouTube, as well as our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success. So make sure you check that out. That's tampaschool.com/success, SUCCESS. Drop your email in there. We'll email you notifications every time it is that we go live, as well as you'll have access to all of the previous episodes of State of Real Estate, as well as Ask the Instructor. Until next Friday at 12 noon, or Wednesday at 12 noon if you're going to tune in to Ask the Instructor, I will see you then. Have a good weekend. Go out there and crush it. Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrisma with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
I have done for my love.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.